Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic night of Sci-Fi Vision presents Fandom Access. What do you got for us tonight, Jamie?
I was going to say, hello, guys. Well, it looks like maybe people are like me and they're late, because I noticed that last time. Maybe you're right. People missed the first few minutes, but hopefully they'll
I said we should, you should do something. You should do something crappy to start, like The Walking Dead.
Oh, come on, be nice. But I did want to, I guess, mention, we might as well talk first about a couple of the things coming up soon. I got my release list here before we go into From. Let me see, because I assume we'll be talking about them. But Teacup starts on Thursday, so that's on Peacock. Make sure you guys check that out, and the interviews for that will be up soon. That's really the only sci-fi-ish. Like I said, Hysteria is coming on the 18th. That's the next thing, but it's not exactly sci-fi. But
it's so nice to have a show that's on a thing I don't have to pay for. I'll watch Peacock. I'll definitely watch. Peacock is free, so I'll definitely watch Teacup.
Yeah, it's worth it though. It's like I've said before. I think that people that like From will like it. It's kind of the same, very very similar tone, at least in my opinion. I wanted to ask you guys though, because somebody was telling me I need to watch Severance. Have either of you watched that? I think one of you said you did before.
I haven't. Nope. It's supposed to be fantastic. It's really critically well reviewed, and people seem to really like it. But I have not watched it. I think it's on Apple, which I do have and pay for. So maybe I'll watch that next.
Yeah, that's next on my list. The other thing I did want to mention that also comes out on the 10th. Everything's being released on the 10th. Is no, this one's on Max. It's a movie called Caddo Lake. I don't know how you pronounce it. Caddo. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Caddo. But anyway, it's really good. I don't want to spoil what it's about, but I think you all will like it very much. I think people that watch what we watch will like it. But it's very surprising and shocking, and that is coming on the 10th. But first, we might as well jump into From. Before I tell, I'm going to, in case there are people who haven't quite showed up yet, I do have an announcement. We have another special guest coming next week live. Yay. But before I do that, I did promise to play a clip from the interview with Catalina, who plays Tabitha, and I got it uploaded here. You can watch the rest of this interview. Of course, well, if you're here, hopefully you're watching through our YouTube channel. But if you're not, you can watch it on our, putting the link there on our YouTube channel if you want to watch the rest of it. Let me open it up here. Here we go. We'll be back in a second. Knowing at the end of the episode that they hit the tree, so we're assuming there's at least a chance she could end up back there. How do you think that will change her, having been in the real world? That will she be different at all now?
Of course she's gonna be back. I mean, like, there's a tree, there's the crows. That's the prelude for she knows what's gonna happen. And I think there's a lot of pressure for her from herself to herself, to bring some answers to these people that, of course, I mean, like, it's obvious that they want some answers from her now that she had gone out of town. And I don't know if a lot of people are going to understand that she couldn't have the answers that they needed, that she was not the chosen one, right? That she was not, the one that is out with all the answers and she's going to guide them through to freedom. It's not going to be that easy. So I think just coming back to town with empty-handed is tough.
All right, sorry, Karen, I didn't mean to cut you off when you started talking. I was a little click happy, I guess. Sorry about.
That's okay. I just wanted to ask you. You said that the interview's on the Sci-Fi Vision's YouTube channel, but I wanted to ask you, can you watch it directly on scifivision.com also?
Yes, that you can as well. I just figured the link for the YouTube was easier, but actually we probably should have the, that's trying to take off the ticker. I guess the other one isn't a ticker. That's why it keeps going on the bottom. But anyway, yes, all the interviews are on scifivision.com. Thank you. But before we go into the recap, which we will go deep into, so I should have done the spoiler warning before I did the clip. I apologize for that. because obviously it had some spoilers for this week. But next week, we're going to have at the top of our show at 10, we're going to have actress Samantha Brown, who plays the cop Acosta, who's at the end of the episode and is, we'll get to see more of her after next week. That's why we're doing the interview after next week. And I'm not spoiling, I won't tell you anything that happens, but we'll get, more of an introduction into her, and then people can call in live, hopefully, or not call in. I'm so used to us doing the other show, I still say it the wrong way. Can send in questions in the comments, and we'll post them to her live. But that is next week.
And just to be clear, because I had a hard time with this when you first told me today, she's the cop who was in the back of the ambulance with Tabitha, and they came up to the tree. So presumably she's going to be a resident of Fromville, I guess.
Well, she's in the episode. I won't say what happens one way or another, but clearly they make it. So
here's a tree.
What happens after they make it into, past the tree is for people to find out next week.
Yeah.
But that'll be after, like I said, next week. Everybody will have seen the next episode, so it makes more sense. So that's why I was holding it for that. But
all right, this better not be a Tian Shen thing where we had her for an interview and then she gets killed in the next episode.
Well, if you guys didn't hate spoilers so much, I could have explained to you about that day, why I wasn't sure what day to do.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have. I would have been very upset if you had told us.
No, I know you would have, which is why I didn't. But I
just don't want our show to be the kiss of death that we have guests and then they get killed.
Well, I shouldn't say it's not, because I can't say it, but she's in the next episode. That's what I said. I can say that she's in the next episode.
Cool.
Beyond that, I won't say one way or another.
Cool.
That's great.
Okay. So let's jump into it. I thought this was a great episode. I mean, it's a great season. I'm enjoying this season more than last year, and I did enjoy last year, but I'm enjoying the season more. And I thought this was a really good episode.
Yeah, I did too. A lot of people though thought this episode was more filler. I mean, I guess it wasn't like as hectic as last week and the week before, but I didn't consider it really filler. I mean, I think a lot happened, especially at the end of the episode, but watching it back, I like I said, I guess not quite as much happens maybe, but did you feel like it was a filler episode?
No.
Okay.
No. I guess we can talk about, I mean, I had theories and ideas, and some of them died the moment I had them. And some of them maybe are still out there. And maybe you guys do too, or some of our people in the chat. So let's jump into this. Episode was called Mousetrap, right?
Yes, called Mousetrap. And please, if you have comments, post them in the chat and we'll put it up on the screen.
And there's like four main stories.
Yeah, there's 4 main stories and a couple side stories. And I did, by the way, if anybody wants to read my full, way more detailed than it should be, recap, it's up.
You're a long recapper, yeah. But some people love that.
That's why I don't like doing recaps, because I write too much. If I'm 100% honest. So let's start by talking about the phone call, because that's at the beginning. I mean, we sort of talked a little bit about that at the end of, for the last episode, but we get more of it at the beginning of this. I like that at least he more got mad than freaked out, I guess, because it was pretty obvious it, isn't anybody and that it's just somebody screwing around with him. But I don't know. What did you guys think?
I know what I thought. I mean, I thought, unless AJ, feel free to cut me off at any time, but I kind of felt like, I mean, I was encouraged that Jim kept his shit together and he didn't start having a freak out that it was Thomas on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Because Jim is not the most stable.
This is true.
But I feel like this is going towards, I talked a couple weeks ago about how I feel like lately, if you say things out loud, the town kind of makes it happen, sort of thing, right? Like, remember 2 weeks ago when Kenny was like, I know what it's like to lose one parent. I don't want these kids to lose both. And then boom, his mother gets killed. And I felt like this might be following on from Julie last week being like, Dad, when Thomas died, you and Mom lost your shit and I had to be the parent and I can't do it again. And then boom, now fake Thomas is calling to destabilize Jim. I just feel like I don't know, where I just feel like lately things people say are being manifested a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I told you I hadn't necessarily thought of that until you said that, so I hadn't really thought through. But I mean, are you saying that you think Thomas is going to show up, or what? I mean, where are you going with that? I'm not sure where.
No, but the like last year when the cicadas came last year, and Sarah said her brother was afraid of cicadas, and maybe when you die, your fears like come into the forest. And I feel like maybe it's like a step beyond that now. And maybe when you like speak about your fears, they're manifested or something. I don't mean that. So I don't think Thomas is going to like come to life, but the part where Julie's afraid that her father will lose her shit again, and now something happens to like maybe make his father like have a breakdown, right?
Yeah, well, he didn't lose his shit on the phone, but he lost his shit afterwards.
Well, yeah, right?
But I will say this. What I would like to see is you said there was like 4 storylines. Well, there was a 5th storyline. It's the storyline where I take over and I write a scene where Ethan gets fed to the fucking monsters.
You're sick of Ethan, huh?
He's such a little shit. He's ridiculous. Who's gonna bury mom? It's like, there's no body, kid. We don't know mom's dead. She went into the woods. We haven't seen her yet. We have no idea. Like, this kid is so morbid and like, I don't know. I don't get it. Like, they have written this kid.
Kids, so I can't. I don't know.
But they have. It's not any of that though. It's like they've written this kid so like. I don't even know what they're trying to do with him. It's like they're like, we need a kid, but we don't know what to do with him, and we need things to happen, and he'll make them happen. That's how I feel about it. And then Julie, to get mad at her dad for like, why wasn't she more upset that he's like already killed mom off? You know? No, I got lots of problems with that kid.
Yeah, I don't know. I think. Sorry, I was just gonna say, whether he got upset or not, though, I think that probably the point either way, like you said, was to make him go off. And he is getting very like irritable because of it and yelling at everybody. I also did want to comment before I forget. He asked Boyd if things are going to get worse. And I noticed when I rewatched
he didn't really ask. It was more kind of rhetorical. It was like things, okay. It's kind of like we're not going to Guam, are we?
Yeah, that's fair. But I noticed when I rewatched it that the bus driver pretty much said the same thing to Boyd later in the episode. So I think that's, probably not that things don't usually get worse. I guess that's kind of like a weak foreshadowing, though, because we know things are going to go bad. They never go right?
Things are already much worse. The monsters are much more aggressive. Things are worse. Things are objectively worse than they were, right? Mm-hmm. I complained last week about Ethan being like written younger than he is. Maybe 2 weeks ago I complained when he was like, my friend the goat is out in the street. I got to run out there. And I complained that this kid is like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old and has lived in Frumville long enough to not do like, I feel like they've regressed Ethan a little bit this season to be, or maybe the kid is getting, the actor is getting older, but they've only been in town, I don't know, a few months, right? Like in Showtime, not a year has not gone by. I don't know how long it's gone by.
No, it's a couple months.
I think Boyd's only been there a year and a half. And so, the actor who plays Ethan is growing up, and maybe I feel like this kid should be older, but I need to go back and see what he looked like 3 seasons ago when he started, right?
He's definitely got the tall wall issue starting to go on. He definitely looks older. I mean, he doesn't look that much older, but he looks older.
Even with that, even with Karen's point there, which is a very valid point, it's still ridiculous how ridiculous this kid is. It's just no.
Man, I'm glad I gotta meet AJ's kids and ask them what kind of dad he is.
Nothing. It has nothing.
I'm teasing you.
Whatever. I don't care. It has nothing to do with that, though. It's like, it's not even because I'm a parent. it's because I mean, we have talked about kids on shows many a time.
Yes.
And this kid is just all right. Shit, Walt, perfect example. You know,
Yeah.
Walt did some stupid. He wanted to learn how to throw a knife and shit, but he never did anything this idiotic continuously. Like, I don't know. There's. I feel like I don't know what they're doing with this kid. Like, he gets worse every week, I think. There was another show, Karen, where you and I watched, where the kid there was a kid that got worse every week.
I hate calling kids on shows.
Can't remember what it was.
Pick a kid. I probably complained about.
I just said I remember us complaining about Carl always running away and not listening. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll have him grow up more soon. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, but it was very morbid and relentless, like with the questions. But I mean, we agreed that Jim reacted inappropriately, right?
Yeah, I find it funny though that Ethan seems to have been the one more that's given up on stuff. I don't know. Like, I guess I would expect him more to like be questioning still, go get her, go find her, rather than, oh, she's, in the ground. So I don't know.
Well, he is kind of over. Remember in seasons 1 and 2, there was that storybook that he was reading, and his family would always say, remember when the Kromanocker, whatever it was called, had a problem? They always use the storybook to try to like assuage his fears, and there was an episode not that long ago where he was like, all right, enough with the book, that's not real, that's like, he's not, I mean, the kid is getting a little I don't know if I want to say he's becoming more jaded and scared like the adults are, or he's just like, like
no, he's even worse than that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, Jim makes a lot of bad decisions, right? Jim always acts impulsively and rashly, and people pay for it around him sometimes. And his wife, like, assuming that the tree is the Fromville tree and Tabitha will be back next week, it couldn't happen soon enough for her kids, right? Like, he's gonna get those kids killed.
Yeah, he needs to take better care of them. When we talked about this last week too,
you know what? Though,
conversation.
He's always running off.
What?
The kid's always running off.
Yeah,
he is.
No, actually, what I was going to say was, I actually thought gave Jim credit when, after the phone call with not Thomas, I thought he did a pretty good job actually
at the beginning
of going to get them without. I mean, he could have been a little like, he should have had a story in place already, but that's not Jim. But he didn't run up going, kids, get in the house. I just got a call from your dead brother. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He didn't want to try and worry them, but he was a little over aggressive with it, but you understood why he was doing it. But the fact that he didn't just blurt out why, I thought was actually
he made one good choice there, I guess.
I'm having a little issue trying to like reconcile a hallucination like Father Khatri, who represents Boyd's like subconscious or inner voice or whatever he represents in this, like, he's a very non-threatening kind of hallucination.
That's what we're assuming, yeah.
Like with him versus like the Thomas call, which I mean, I don't see any way that's not a sinister occurrence, right?
Well, yeah, he threatened whoever the kid was on the phone threatened his kids, so they shouldn't be out after dark. Or at least said it in a sinister way. I mean, he said it was a warning, but he said it sinister. But I think at this point, I feel like maybe Father Khatri is supposed to be in his head, but it's so hard to tell because we have people having visions. We have, people showing up because the town made them, but I still feel like Father Khatri has not given him any advice that didn't seem to be advice Boyd would have given himself if he thought it through, if that makes sense. So like it does.
Yeah, I hear
like
what you're saying.
voice.
See, here's my thing. I think there are multiple entities going on in this town. I think Father Khatri is the voice of the town. I think that's why it's a little calmer. Like the town is the town, and there's all these other elements going on around it. Like I don't, it's like the town is kind of neutral, whereas there's a darker force out in the woods that is what's causing all the havoc.
So you don't necessarily think it's good or evil. You're saying right now it's just kind of.
Yeah, I don't think Father Khatri is good or evil. I think Father Khatri is kind of just like the location, like kind of the observer.
Yeah, like the observer. That makes sense. Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, he doesn't really give him bad advice. I mean, the problem, and this is kind of the one of the main storylines of this episode, is that Boyd wants to catch one of the monsters. And he said this in the last episode. The problem is he has absolutely no idea what he's going to do. He's just like, we're going to do it. And he's ready to run out and do it. And that's a problem. So at least they sort of calmed them down for the most part. And he's going to try to observe them first before he does something stupid.
I mean, I don't know if I believe he said it, but I don't know if I believe it. Like, I'm not sure that Boyd is really going to be less aggressive about this. I mean, he said this is a good place for me to watch them, but
you think he's going to do something stupid?
Maybe.
Wait, no.
Okay, but now Randall's involved. Like Randall's like, I'll hang out with you, right? Like Randall's involved, so now it surely will go bad, right?
Maybe.
I mean,
Randall actually helped in the one episode though, which was kind of surprising. I mean, not that he did a whole lot, but he did let the kids on the bus and at least helped them in that sense when they were with Sarah in the first episode.
I mean, not leaving people to be ripped to shreds in the street is a very low bar to clear.
No, it is. It is. But I'm just saying, at least he did. Knowing him before, I feel like if it was last season, he may have left them out there.
I'm kind of with Boyd in the sense of like, Boyd says it's time to try something different. We're not getting anywhere. It's time to try something different. Like I get that, and I think it's not a bad idea. He maybe probably, as Jamie said, should take some more time to make a plan.
Like the doctor, he has no plan.
No, but it also makes me think of like Harry Potter when in the last movie when Harry says to Hermione, when have any of our plans ever worked? Like it always goes wrong, and then we have to
keep doing it. Right? What's that thing about Einstein? The definition of being insane is doing something more than once and thinking you're going to get a different outcome.
Well, I mean, I know. He's not trying anything for the second time. No, like this will be a first-time plan. But I did think of Harry saying, "Hermione, when have any of our plans ever work?" It always like the best laid plans kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, I do think that Boyd should maybe do some more planning, and this may be a sign of him. I mean, he's getting. I mean, I don't know how long anybody could stay there without starting to get kind of frayed at their nerves frayed at a minimum.
That's fair. So, do you think he says that maybe they can capture one? He does, like we said, he doesn't really say how, but I mean, I'm curious if that's even possible. I mean, I assume that like they can clearly keep them out with the talisman. Can they keep them in? Because I would think that if they put it on the outside of like a building, once they went in, that one of the other ones could just take it off. Maybe.
Well, that's the plan is like, well, I don't know. So that's the plan, that get them inside, put a talisman outside, they'll be stuck in. Like one of them take it off. I would, if the talisman keeps them out, I find it hard to believe that they would reach out and touch a talisman and remove it from the building.
Okay. I guess that's true. I don't know.
I mean, that's my
thought. This whole convoluted idea of like this 2-level thing that they get them in and then they put it on the inside so the other ones can't get in and put it. But it'd be hard to do.
So,
but like Patrick says though, even if he does catch them, what are they going to do? Like, how are they going to get? If he catches one of them, like, how are they going to kill it or make it talk or whatever, because it could just kill them even inside the building, if assuming, or box or whatever it is they try to put it in. But yeah, I don't know, unless maybe during the day they can't. We've seen them during the, I guess we've seen them in the caves. We haven't actually seen them out in the sunlight, so I don't know whether they can move around in the day or not.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that because Jade messed with the skeleton looking thing, do you think that that is going to hurt them in some way, shape, or form?
Yes, and I think
Definitely could.
I think I mentioned, we talked about this last week. I don't know if I mentioned this last week or I just thought of it and never said it, that I think those mannequins are maybe some kind of another kind of talisman that was created.
Well, that's why I'm wondering. That's exactly why I went there with that question.
But I have to question, does it really matter if they're putting talisman in the cabins, in the buildings, whatever, when they're staying there? Like, is it more of a redundancy? I kind of wonder if it does do something, though, because wouldn't it be really cool if they could take them and like put a fence around the town or something and not have to like stay inside? Because it seems strange to me that they're not right on the buildings. And the other thing is, we know whenever Jim and Kenny were in that cabin, like I think there was like a knock or a noise or something, but we never found out what it was because they never showed outside. So we don't know whether it was something bad or not.
Wait, what?
Last week
Was it last week? Last week or the first
week?
Oh, yeah. Whenever Jim and Kenny were in the cabin.
Yeah, they heard something go bump in the night, but we never saw it.
Yeah, and they keep calling them shacks. I call them cabins. I don't know. It looks like a cabin to me. You call it
Same difference.
People online are calling it the homestead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I do think that those are some type of, I mean, so they spent the night safely in that cabin. They think it was because of the talisman. It could have been the mannequins, right? The totems or whatever they are. I think that breaking them down, I mean, there's no way that happened in this episode and it doesn't have any payoff next week, right? I think
especially because Jade said it. I feel like Jade's the smart one that comes up with things. So.
I don't think that.
No, Jade's the one that took it apart. The other guy was like, "Are you sure that's a good idea?"
No, but I mean, Jade originally said maybe they work like talismans. He's the one that said that at the beginning.
He said, I didn't. He said that. I said that.
Yeah, so did Jade.
Oh, well, I said it last week. I said it before him.
No, I know you did. I'm just
Listen, I mean, they had no choice because, so I thought, I mean, when I saw the bear trap, I immediately thought that the monsters put the bear trap there so that someone would be trapped there overnight and they could eat them. Like, I thought it was a trap to trap a person.
See, I kind of wonder if it could be the other way though, because if they are using those to ward them out, maybe like they had the same idea Boyd did. Maybe they're trying to trap one. I mean, we know that they can't shoot him and kill them, but I don't know that necessarily they couldn't do that. Although I would think if that happened, the monster thing would just like rip its leg off or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but I think, yeah, they're going to now have to spend the night out there in the cabins because they can't get back in time. And I think that we're going to find out that those creepy thing. I mean, you know what also makes me think that these things are really important? You know how like when I download press photos each week, sometimes there's like not really good photos of like,
and there's like 5 different photos of them. Yeah,
there's like the press photos, and there were last week. Like there are more pictures of those things than there are of people in this week's press packet, and there were a few last week also. They're giving us really good photos of those things.
That's a good point. I don't know who chooses what photos they take and what photos they put up, but that's a good point. But I guess the whole point of it is whatever he did, it worked to save Christy. I mean, I kind of thought, my first thought was, disconnect the trap, which is what Dale said. So I'm like, okay, well, Dale came up with that idea. It's definitely not going to work. But I kind of figured that they were going to cut her leg off and then run her in the cabin, like, because I thought they were going to run out of time. Do you feel like that? Because that's what I thought was coming.
No, I never felt that.
I actually never thought of that until you just said it.
Yeah.
That was my first thought right away. Although they still would have had to have something to do that with. So I guess either way, they didn't really have a weapon of that kind. So I don't
they
know
had
that
no
that
tools for that.
really worked.
By the way, so as much as I hate what's his name, the bald guy who lives in the bus, Randall. Dale is really
worse than Randall.
Yeah, Dale is a persistently negative person.
Yeah.
It's Dale who accidentally stabbed Ellis when he was
that's right,
with a knife in his hand, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
put it in the box. They didn't.
Dale is a problematic townsfolk, and I was thinking, Dale. I wish Dale needs to go. He needs to get eaten. But then I thought, well, I guess if we all got stuck in Fromville, you can't guarantee that every single person is going to be a nice cooperative member of the community, right? And this year, all the jerks are really. We got Randall, we have Dale, that girl who yelled at Fatima for having morning sickness. At least she apologized, but there's a lot of like unpleasant people coming to the town.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know.
So do you think so? What do you guys think about Dale seeing dead people? Like,
Jade?
is he like?
You mean Jade?
Not Dale, Jade. Like, is Jade legit seeing people who've been killed in the town in the past, or are these like dead people who are coming to him, or are these like different kind of messages? Like, I'm starting to believe like he legit sees dead people.
I think he legit does, but I still wondered if it was partially what happened to Christopher, like when he went nuts. At least that's what I thought before they were implying. Now I don't know.
Christopher,
the one who like killed a lot of the people or got them killed or whatever. I forget exactly.
The guy who took the guns out.
That was in the picture with Victor.
Yeah. Oh, that guy, the original murderer of the town.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just what I thought before. Now I'm not so sure, but yeah. I mean, I guess it's possible this could also kind of be like the Boyd thing with Father Khatri, but the people that he sees are not like AJ said, neutral. I'm not sure what that guy's message was, drinking blood out of the skull or having his
Jade has definitely seen more things that aren't there than other people, but other people have seen apparitions before.
Yeah,
like the Civil War soldiers.
Yeah.
I forget was it Sarah that saw them?
Well, Jade saw them first.
I think it was Jade.
Jade saw them, but then I think Tabitha also saw them, right? Jade saw
somebody
them
else.
first.
She saw the kids. I don't know if she ever saw the soldier or not. I don't remember.
I think she saw the soldier also, but Jade saw the soldier first.
That's right. I forgot Jade saw it first. Like, I don't have an answer there.
I think Jade then was reassured that Tabitha had also seen it. I mean, Tabitha and Jade both have different,
Tabitha seems a little more sane than Jade, though. That's all I'm going to say. Here's
my other theory that I've been working around my head that I can't really get straight yet, but I'm working on it. Is that the people who see the most hallucinations are the people who have like been touched by the death of a loved one more? Like Jade, remember Jade had that boyfriend who was killed in the car wreck at the tree when their car ran into the RV, right?
Yeah, was that supposed to be his boyfriend? Not that it's really relevant. I'm just
right. It might have been his husband. It was either his boyfriend or his husband.
Yeah,
I thought it was his friend. I wasn't sure. They
were together. They were definitely together.
Right, and so he's had this terrible loss. Boyd had to shoot his own wife. He gets these. Tabitha, has guilt. She feels wholly responsible for the death of Thomas. She turned her head and he rolled off the changing table. I feel like the people who are the most in touch with the town are the people who are like the most traumatized so far. But I'm not sure I've got this theory totally straightened out yet. What do you guys think?
It's definitely in the right direction of something, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, the other I have listed, that was the second storyline. The other storyline, although we don't get tons about it, but it's still important, is Fatima again.
Oh, I totally forgot. I have these awesome. I haven't put any pictures on.
That's funny.
You're slipping. Yeah, we're talking about the effigy scarecrow shit, and you're not putting it up.
Okay, I'm gonna put a picture of the scarecrows on real quick because they creep the shit out of me every time I see them. Yeah. But the reason I thought of it just now, look at how creepy they are. I thought of it just now, Jamie, because the press photos had an awesome picture of the compost heap this week.
Yeah. Hey, that reminds me, it looked like one of those scarecrow things. I didn't notice it in that picture, but it looked like maybe one had a spike through its eye. I don't think you can tell in that picture. I don't remember which one it was, but I thought there was only 3, so maybe not. But I thought it looked like it was through its eye, and I wondered if it was supposed to be what Jade was seeing.
Well, the one in the center, if you can see it, it has nails all in its head.
In its head, yeah.
It has nails all in its head. And that guy had a giant nail, like a railroad spike through his eye. And in the first shot of him, it looked like he was pinned to the tree, which made me think of that girl.
Yeah, he did look like he was pinned to the tree. You're right. Yeah. Interesting. Sorry, back to the rotten food heap.
Back to our poor pregnant woman.
Yeah. So Tilly catches her, and that's when she's like, I licked eggshells. Now, do you guys trust her? I have seen so many people online do not trust Tilly. Now granted, I can't, say anything either one way or another, but I never thought anything was up with Tilly other than she seemed like a nice old lady trying to help her. What do you guys think about her?
AJ?
I didn't really give a thought one way or the other about her.
I don't know. Everybody thinks she's really suspicious. I did not find her suspicious, but maybe I'm not suspicious enough as a viewer. I don't know.
Oh, I find her suspicious, but I thought it was one of you guys, or maybe it was one of our chatters who listened with us. One of our people in the chat last week said it's too obvious. She's so obviously like creep weird that it's too obvious.
Maybe that's why I didn't worry about her.
Right? Because it's not just Tilly. She always says the right thing to Elgin, like Elgin crochets, she crochets. Fatima's pregnant. She's like, don't worry about being pregnant. And there's been like 1 or 2 other people that she always seems to have just the right thing to say. I wonder if she's like a little psychic or a person who's just like more in tune. I mean, she was going to do the tarot reading. Could she be a little... So some people think like she's a monster or a plant. I don't think that, right? That'd be way too obvious.
Yeah, I don't think so either. What was I going to say? Oh, poor Elgin, though. That kid is never going to get sleep.
So yeah, I'm just going to show a picture of the trash because it's awesome. And I don't have a picture of the crow because there's not ever any pictures of like spoilery things. But Tilly's going to read the tarot, also it's very convenient that Tilly happened to be carrying a tarot pack with her on the bus when they got stuck here, right? Like those were her tarot cards that she brought with her. She mentioned.
Yeah, although she said that they were important to her because of what they told her about her cancer or whatever. So I assume that's probably why she kept them with her.
Didn't she say
she's got a little bum bag and she keeps her tarot cards in there, I guess.
Well, didn't she say she was on the bus, like going to a casino to go gambling, or?
Yeah, it seems like something like that. It seems like a strange thing to take. I don't know.
But anyway, she never gets to read the tarot card. So what do you think is up with that? With the crow?
Well, I don't know. I kind of thought like, was that supposed to be the answer? Like, she's like, is my baby okay? And then the crow comes smashing through the window. I also have to ask if you guys think anything of this, because I was talking to some people on this chat the other night, and did you notice, and I notice it more because when you heard that interview clip with Catalina, she said about the tree and the crows. They didn't show any crows at the tree. I don't know if that was just they didn't show them or if it was just...
Which tree? The bottle tree that they showed in this episode?
No, the tree across the road. I don't know if the trees are supposed to be, or the crows are supposed to be part of like when they see the tree, or it just happened to be for their family. Like, is it relevant that we didn't see any birds at the tree? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No.
I don't. The ambulance, when they get to the tree in the middle of the road, do you think like maybe we just didn't see it long enough? I don't know.
Yes, I think we didn't see it long enough. Most people say that they saw the tree and they saw crows, right? Like that's
okay. That's what I'm trying to remember, if they saw crows as well, because I wondered if maybe the crow coming in the house was kind of like a warning, like they were coming or something. I don't know.
Oh, I never thought
this
of
was
that.
The discussion we had. I didn't come up with it. It was one of the people in the chat said this, so I can't take credit for it. But
so I thought, AJ, do you have a crow theory why that crow threw in the window?
I thought we've talked about this before, that the crows seem to show up right when people are coming to the town.
Did we?
Well, people who are at the tree, people see crows at the tree or when they're trying.
Right, and there's always some kind of situation. Like before the bus came, there was a bunch of crows.
Oh, I thought.
See, I'd have to go back. I don't remember absolutely.
I'm in the camp. I'm not the only person. There are other people who think, other commenters online and stuff, that the crows were trying to prevent Tilly from doing the reading.
Maybe.
Interesting thought.
That was my thought. That the crow was like, oh no, like the tarot card might be too revealing of I don't know. Either it would reassure Fatima, and the goal of the town and the monsters is to keep Fatima off her rocker. Or it would, I thought maybe the crows were trying to prevent her from doing the reading, but the crow being, so crows are always an omen, right? Almost every major spiritual school of thought, not almost every, but crows have been like Noah sent a crow and a dove out from the ark, right? And crows are many, many different types of spirituality. See crows as an omen, some for good, some for bad, some an omen of death. They can be an omen of this and that. So the idea that crows are an omen of some new people coming into the town is really interesting to me. I hadn't thought of it myself.
Yeah, I hadn't either. That's why I said I didn't come up with it, but I thought it was pretty interesting. The other thing I wanted to mention is the other thing that I've seen people mention, and I agree with, is that it looks like a different tree. But I was just kind of always of the opinion that they probably just used a different tree for the prop, and that it has nothing to do with anything. This is where sometimes I think people put too much into things, and I wonder if they're just like, I just, kind of brushed it away and never thought again about it.
I just want to show the trash again.
The
I thought of that. And, the three of us, there was a time in our lives when we would have gone back and got screen grabs from season 1 and from every time.
Yeah. Well, people have. It looks different.
All. People have, and they're saying it's not the same tree.
Yeah, but I just kind of assumed the prop department got a different tree because it's been how long? Like maybe it was really a real tree they cut down and they couldn't use the same one if it was.
They're not going to keep a tree line around for every,
or maybe in the way, all that.
Like you can come to the town from anywhere. It's not really the same road.
That's
like
true.
Everybody on I-10 comes to town, so
maybe it doesn't have to be the same tree. Right? That's a good point. Yeah,
we don't know that it has to be the same tree.
That is a good point. I hadn't even thought about that. All right, so that was the fourth big thing. The other two side stories I have written down. Here.
Let me show you this great picture they had of Jade running, which I really enjoyed putting into this also. Because he looks like a wild man.
Yeah, he does.
And so we talked about that. Half of those people are going to be dead soon. All right. The other thing was that they did not put in a whole bunch of pictures of our girl Tabitha. That's where you're going with this, right?
No, there was two more side stories in there first before we get there. They're just little. They're not super important, but I wanted to mention. The one is, actually, it looks like there's two small side stories, and then I only typed one small side story. But it was Victor and Sarah. There was tiny bit with Victor and Sarah, and
that's
Victor
very near the end.
Suitcase. Yeah, well, he was digging it up at the beginning of the episode, but that he's going to tell her a story or whatever he says.
He says we need to get a quilt so we can build a fort, and I'm going to tell you a story. What'd you guys think about that, Jamie? You know where that's going. AJ, did you have any thoughts on that?
with Victor, who knows what his story could be?
Well,
I was
I
as
think
intrigued
he
as
was
Sarah.
trying to figure out something, remember something, whatever. At least that's where it seemed to be continuing for me.
It's very. So I was like, what the hell's in that? Victor's had a suitcase buried for like 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Victor was a little boy and now he's one of the older people in the town, right? He's been there 50 years.
40 years. I think he said 40 years. I think
40 years.
Over 40 years. Yeah.
Like, and that suitcase looked like a 70, like it was an old school suitcase, right? So I wonder what could be in there. It could just be a million drawings. What really struck me about it is it always really gets to me when Victor really acts like a little boy. And like, what happened to Victor to complete, like I feel like Victor was raised in this town mostly with adults. There aren't any children there except Ethan right now, right?
And the boy in white, yeah. And either way, growing up that many years, alone, it would screw with you.
Well, was he alone? Or we're saying he was alone for 10 or 20 years?
I don't think he was completely alone for 10 or 20 years. I don't think that's possible because a kid can't take care of themselves. But I think that he definitely was without anybody his age for that long.
Which would make me think it would age him and make him more mature, not less. He is completely stunted at the age of 8. Like he's like a little boy. So I feel like I don't know what happened to him that made him so.
At any rate,
I don't know what happened to him that made him so childlike. And is it trauma that stopped him from progressing or
that's the other question, because I kind of before assumed, and I don't remember the answer he gave me, but I think he had, a lot of people have said this, kind of thinks that he's on the spectrum. But the question is, I think is the big thing is, did it happen to him because he was there, or was he already like that when he got there? We don't know. Because they really don't have much of him as a little boy. We don't really see, I don't think, enough to know his mental, state.
I mean,
either way, the town would throw him up.
He's like a little boy, and I don't know that. I'm not any kind of a doctor, and can't say, but I wouldn't say. To me, it wouldn't go to, oh, he's on the spectrum and that's why he acts like a little child. He's stunted for some reason that I think has to do with the town, not because. Anyway.
I think it's likely whatever it is from the town. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just saying I know that a lot of people have said that that's kind of the way he seems to play it. So I don't know.
So whatever's in that suitcase, he buried it, or someone buried it like 30 or 40 years ago, and Victor has.
I assume it looked like it was his drawing, his map, wasn't it? It did,
but that doesn't mean that he buried it. He could have watched the person do it, or he could have, right?
True.
Or he could have been there when it happened, but somebody else dug the hole. I mean, if he was little, but whatever's in there, I feel like could it be a bomb, a major thing? He has kept it, shit's been bad in this town for a long time, but now it's so bad that now's the time. And why Sarah of the town area?
I don't know why Sarah of all people, but Victor forgets stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It might be something might have triggered his memory, and been like, oh shit, the suitcase.
Well, he's been saying before about trying to remember from his drawings and everything. I kind of assumed it was something to do with that, but don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a picture of him. I'll just put a picture of his dad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. It was a little tiny, not a nothing of a scene, a very short scene that probably is going to be a bigger deal.
Yeah, bigger deal.
So I'm going to bet $10 right now that it was that suitcase, and it's like 10,000 more drawings, because that's the only thing we ever see.
Probably.
That's what we see a lot of, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we do got to talk about
it's
outside
the position
with Tabitha and Henry. Now that you have a picture of Henry up.
Henry, yeah.
So I'm not sure some of this, what to make of it. We have more about how she created a bottle tree, and that, it was just a copy of the one she made. And obviously there's a bottle tree in the town. So I'm assuming there's a good chance Tabitha made it. I don't know. Or not Tabitha, sorry, Miranda. But the thing that still sticks out to me, and I want to understand, is if there's more to it, because she clearly at one point, now whether it's true or not, I don't know, but she starts to say to him, you know, the town is still torching her or something like that. Are we not in Maine? I think she says, because she finds that bracelet and then she starts freaking out because she thinks, why would he have this? And that to me, I still can't really reconcile the idea of the exact same bracelet unless it's like some kind of reincarnation or something, or alternate dimensions, and like, you know, she's Miranda in another dimension or something like that. I don't know. I don't really have an answer for that.
Do you remember that it's the second time she's found the bracelet? She found the bracelet in the basement before.
Yep.
Right. But this time he definitely said it was Miranda's. So like, why would they have the same bracelet? Unless it's just to do with their connection and why they're important to the town. I don't know.
Well, it depends if you believe what she believes, that Tabitha says, oh, this is not real. You've gone too far. This is where your whole plan falls apart because this bracelet is too much. It's too perfect. We're not really here, right? Like she thinks that she's been hallucinating this whole thing, or the town is playing a trick on her and the bracelet is the giveaway.
Yeah, and you know, it's at that point that she ends up in the ambulance and we don't see what happens because she passes out in the car. So technically, if she was right or somebody was doing this to her, I'm thinking back of something like Persons Unknown or, you know, one of those kind of shows that we've seen. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it till now, but now I'm like, that kind of makes sense. Like, what if somebody knocked her out and put her in an ambulance? Like,
oh, yeah, but
no.
I think when she said you've gone too far, she was talking to like the town or the monster.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought she may be specific. Well, I guess she could.
I mean, it's possible.
Henry, but I don't know.
Go ahead, AJ, with your thought and theory here.
I'm not really sure what to think, but she was definitely back in the real world because they ended up back at the tree. You know what I mean? So
it wouldn't make sense if she wasn't. That was why I said from the beginning.
Yeah, but she also could still see the little boy. However, Miranda saw all kinds of shit when she was in the real world before she ended up in the town. So
maybe they're just all tripping balls. They're just all drugged down.
I mean, yeah, and not for nothing. Who knows? Maybe this town that Victor and Miranda were from, it's connected to the
Fromville?
Yeah, it's connected to Fromville on some kind of different plane level or something, you know. And things can like bleed over, maybe. I don't know, because you know we see the little boy. Miranda saw this stuff before she ever got to Fromville.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting when it all comes to fruition.
I definitely feel like she's out because, like you said, like what would be the point of having her out and bringing her back if she wasn't out? Like it just doesn't make sense.
So in terms of, go ahead.
Well, plus now she has Victor's daddy in tow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she got Victor. Yeah, so that's going to be huge for Victor to see his dad, right, and see what happens there. So I'm going to blend some of my thoughts with some of the things that people are saying online. I've always been a little suspicious of Victor's father. I don't know why. I'm just not always sure that everything he's saying is that he's reliable in
I get you. I'm with you.
Sinister, but it's been many years for him. He's traumatized. Like the level of trauma on the show makes me feel like you almost like can't trust anybody because everyone is so traumatized by some of them by what happened before they got to the town, right? But I've never had a full trust in the things that he says. He has mentioned multiple times about the acid, and I feel like that is going to be a thing. There are people commenting online who are theorizing that they're all living in an acid trip. Like it's all. And I haven't read where they take it through to the end, but it might be like a Bobby Ewing steps out of the shower thing.
Oh,
like
God,
Miranda
no.
wakes up from her trip and I mean, that's a theory that's out there. I don't buy that, but I do think the LSD is somehow connected. either that, there are people who I mean, we've all read these things about like taking acid to open your third eye and allow you to see other dimensions, whether you have read about MK Ultra or you watch the X-Files, like we're all familiar with that, right? The idea of taking acid to open your third eye, or psychedelics can do that for you, right? Ayahuasca, people do ayahuasca trips to like achieve a higher state of consciousness or whatever. So maybe that caused Miranda to open a link to the town or something. So there's that. My second thing I thought of as I watched this, I was looking at like the age of Victor's dad and the age of Victor. Like Victor sometimes looks like he's almost as old as his dad, right?
Yeah, people keep saying this. I just assume the town aged him.
And then, he's had poor nutrition. He's been very frightened, and actors are actors, right? But like, there have been some theories that Tabitha stepped out into like a different timeline or a different time.
I did notice how everything I don't know if I said this last week or not, but everything in Henry's house seems to be from like, I don't know, the 70s or something like that. I kind of assumed when I first saw it that just like he probably didn't bother changing anything in his house since Victor just disappeared, not just Victor, his kids and his wife disappeared because like he was so, depressed and in pain. He just didn't care and didn't change it. Yeah. But this car is also really old. And I find it hard to believe that you would still have a car that looks like it's from back, or at least it looked like it to me. I don't know enough about cars. I could be completely off base, but it looked to me like a car from a long time ago too.
It's also pretty old. I deleted the picture, but remember last week I had a picture of him and Tabitha eating like a TV dinner in front of his old TV. And you're making me think, Jamie. So my dad's like 92, right? And he's lived, we bought our house in 1973. A lot of the stuff in the house is not new, but my dad does have a really nice new car and new TV. Right?
Yeah, I would. But my point I was going to get to is I thought about that, but then I thought about the fact when I was looking at Jim's wallpaper when he answered the phone, the house isn't kind of from an old time period too, but I assume it's because of whenever that town became whatever it became. I don't know, but it just got me thinking about it. Like they are kind of all from that sort of, or look like they could be all from that kind of time.
I don't know. So with not knowing what year it is in Camden, Maine, and like that's the inside of the house, right? I mean, maybe he just couldn't afford to.
The girl had a cell phone. Now that I think about that, though, it would have to only be the house because that girl had a cell phone she used. So it can't be
whatever. She might not have an iPhone 15. She might have had a Google Mini,
but they didn't have cell phones in the 70s, Karen.
Okay, but whatever. It's not the 70s when they disappeared, but his dad is of an age that, look, like the age of Victor, the age of his father, the age of Tabitha, and I was just trying to think this through, and I'm not saying I have a firm theory here, but I was like, what if Tabitha is like Victor's sister and she didn't get killed that night? She blooped, and somehow Tabitha is her, or could Tabitha be like a young Miranda, or like, I don't know. I was just working what could be Tabitha's connection that she was able to get out and get to Victor's father? And is it just that she's got a higher sensitivity to supernatural shit? Or is it, I don't know. I'm working through this in my head. I'm not anywhere with it yet.
I think based on everything that Henry has told her and what we know about Miranda, I think Tabitha is just the latest in a long line of people that have tried to save the children.
Okay. The easiest answer is usually the right one.
Occam's razor.
Yep.
Not to say that you're I mean, this is lost territory. This is lost territory we're going into right here. So no theory is wrong.
Yeah, I mean, if she could be Eloise, I guess he wouldn't necessarily recognize her if he only seen his kid up to like age whatever, 10 or whatever she was. But I would think that if she was somehow Miranda, he would recognize her. But like I said, unless it's like an alternate dimension version of Miranda.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just playing with it. I did want to talk to you guys about the tree. The whole thing where there are two trees in Camden, remember
There's
there are
also
two,
trees in the
there are
town,
two
but-
trees in and from,
Interesting.
right? There's the tree
Yeah.
that you can go through, but there was that first tree that Boyd found.
And yeah, I don't think, was it, you know what though? Was it a faraway tree? Was that the one Boyd went in or no?
No, one is not a, well, one we didn't see if it, Boyd's tree, I don't remember if it, I guess it was.
I thought maybe they
Another
both
tree
were.
went
I
in.
couldn't remember. I thought that was the one she
Boyd's-
pushed him in. I couldn't
Boyd's
remember.
tree put him in the well.
That's what I thought. That might have been
Yeah.
the bottle tree that he went
I don't
through.
think it was. I think he went into a different tree.
Oh, I think he went into a different tree. I'm just saying I don't know that one
Oh.
of them has no hole.
Oh, was it?
I
bottle
thought
tree?
you were trying
Yeah.
to say like how here this one has no hole. That one of the ones in the
I
town
guess
did.
no. I mean,
I
there are
think they
two
both have
trees in
holes.
there are two trees in Maine. There are two trees
Yeah, they're
in.
definitely I think two different trees. I just think they both have a hole.
All right, whatever. So I guess one is, did Miranda make both of these trees, or like, I don't know, these two
Did she mark
trees.
it? Maybe it's to mark that it's a certain faraway tree or something. And
The tree brings you into town.
out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's that easy, but it would
Well,
be nice
yeah.
if it was.
One tree
On
brings you
tree.
in. One is the red pill and one is the blue pill.
Yeah.
I just I mean, it's just, I guess, you know, did Miranda make all four of the trees? Like, are they a
That's why I said maybe
sign?
she just hung the bottles up to mark what tree it was or something. I kind of wondered if somehow like the papers in the bottles like will tell you where you're going to go or something, but I can't form that
There are no
theory. I've
papers
tried
in
to
those.
figure
Look at
it
those
out. It hasn't
bottles.
gone anywhere.
I think I don't. First of all, I don't know where you'd get all those bottles in Fromville to make that, right? Like, there's
That's a
not
good
that
point,
many.
too.
There's not that much wine and liquor and milk hanging around in Fromville.
Yeah.
It's been a long time though.
I think so. This is getting me entry. Oh my god, this person movie queue entry.
Oh, you just saw that? I said
It's
that
the
before.
entry.
I wonder if the other one's the out tree. I was going to say, but
Out
that
tree.
was bad. So I didn't say what I was going to say.
Very good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, there's that part where Tabitha went through to Camden, Maine, and the two trees. I don't know. Is this just like a
Well, she went through to the lighthouse. The tree didn't take her to Maine. The tree took
okay,
her
but
to
no, but okay, but whatever. But there's two trees in Maine and there's two trees in Fromville and the forest or whatever. And I'm just starting to feel like this other part where is it like a thin spot in reality that
like Fringe,
right? Yeah, like Fringe.
Yeah, that's
It's like a
interesting.
thin spot in reality, and people and trees go through it. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I don't
Okay.
know. Jamie, do you know how many seasons are planned? They're not renewed yet for season 4 yet, right? Do you know how many
No,
seasons?
they haven't been renewed. Supposedly, according to the writers, they want 5 seasons. Whether or not that will happen, that's at least what I've seen people post. They've said the writers have said that, but I haven't actually talked to any of them to know have them say that to me. But that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So
all right, have we covered everything?
I was just going to say, yeah. Do we have anything to say about the ambulance? I think we kind of sort of went through it.
It's an
Well,
ambulance.
I'm going to tell you what I told Jamie and you on text message today, that if they come through the town, Tabitha's bringing Henry, 2 AMTs and a cop. And like Jamie says it every week, we don't need, you only need one doctor on a deserted
I
island,
say
right?
that.
You say it.
I think we
I say
both
that-
said it sometime.
I say that whenever we watch the Ark and Sonvy's still alive.
Yep, you always say that on the Ark. We don't need 2 doctors. You only need 1 doctor. So now we're going to have a nurse and 3 EMTs. And so I predict a bloodbath is coming soon, right? Like, we don't need all these medical personnel. 4 medical personnel would be insane. Either a bloodbath is coming and we need 4 people to save everyone, or they will be the bloodbath. I think they will be the bloodbath, right? And Christy's not going to die because Christy's a main character. Well, that's not to be said.
Was the main character too.
Christy could die. She could die, right?
Yeah,
I don't
or
think
her
she'll-
girlfriend could. I kind of feel though, like after taking the time to bring her girlfriend to the same place, though, and that whole thing, like it seems kind of a waste to get rid of one of them right now.
It's a little waste of a storyline that people haven't really, like, on the show, nobody's, other than saying, like, Tilly, it was Tilly, I think, who said, Tilly said to Kenny, she goes, oh, can you imagine, like, you're lost here and then your fiance comes through? You're really meant to be. And Kenny was like,
I'm trying to remember. I was thinking about what you said about manifesting things. Did one of them say something about her girlfriend, like right before that happened? Maybe they brought her there.
I'd have to go back. Like if she was like, Kenny, I was engaged. I'm really right.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how you said that. Maybe they brought her there somehow. Who knows?
Yeah. So maybe next week someone's going to say like, holy cow, we have 3 EMTs. And then they'll all get killed. So, all right, we got to move it along. We've been dwelling on this show for quite some time, right? We got their stuff to cover tonight.
Saying Jack and Christy both stuck in a love triangle.
Jack from Lost.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I'm like, we don't have a Jack. Yeah. Yes, that part's for talking about Lost.
Yeah.
What are we doing next? The Ark, Agatha.
Let's talk about the Ark season finale.
Okay, and I was just gonna say, for anybody who did miss it at the beginning, since I had said it before, that next week, Samantha Brown, who plays the cop, is going to be here live. So in case you missed that, make sure you come next week.
Well, that's the other thing. Isn't Boyd a cop? Is he a real cop? Or
I think Boyd just became the sheriff. I don't know.
Boyd became the sheriff.
He was in the army or something.
He and his
wife never really said. I don't think.
His wife are both military. Yeah,
military, whatever. Okay.
All right. So that'll be a good interview next week. Yeah. All right.
Well, yes. Let's move on to the Ark. And of course, everybody, you can always stream this after if you did miss something.
The Ark also not renewed, but hopefully we'll hear something soon now that the season's over. This episode is called Fortunate. They are fortunate to arrive at Trappist.
I think they are, yeah.
How'd you guys like this episode? I kind of like some of what they did in this episode. So they land on. Go ahead, AJ.
I just say I thought it was very interesting. I mean, it was pretty obvious from the jump that something wasn't quite right with everything. But the fact that we get, we've been building up to the whole we've had the conversation about the mind control over the past couple weeks. So to see it come to fruition, I thought was pretty cool to see it kind of play out. And of course, Maddox is behind the whole thing. And then I got to say, we talked about Kelly all the time, and we've all seen, everything between her and Maddox. Were you guys surprised at all that she actually ended up killing Maddox? Like, she gives this whole speech about how I'm different now. I'm going to take you to Garnett, and she can, put you in jail. And then Maddox keeps. I almost feel like Maddox didn't want to go to jail, so she kind of pushed her until she snapped her neck.
Yeah, she pushed her. Guys, I'm going to switch to my iPad really quick, so I'm going to log off and right back on. I will be right back.
Okay.
Like suicide by daughter, AJ?
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that she killed her because like you said, I thought, on the one hand, I think if Maddox is going to be killed, then it's fitting that it is Kelly who does it to sort of like complete that arc. But I do agree with you that I thought it was part of Kelly's redemption arc to be a different kind of a person. And in the end, she is still murderous and unpredictable, still untrustworthy.
Well, she was going to bring her back, though. I think that if she hadn't done what she did, she really would have brought her back and not killed her.
Well, it really was murder by daughter or suicide by daughter.
It was so transparent that she just turns around. All she really did is say mean shit to her. She didn't like have a gun and be like, I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah.
She was just mean, which,
But no pun intended, she knows which buttons to push.
Yeah, she does. I mean, she had to be killed because they took Matt. I was a little surprised by the storyline in general. Like, I'm not surprised that they get to Trappist and everything is not,
what they expected it to be.
Yeah, everything all is not kosher on, on Trappist. And that it was too good to be true. I mean, you knew as soon as they got down there and they see that. First of all, I guess I forgot that they were in stasis for like 100. It's like 100 years since they left Earth, right? But I don't know who got to Trappist first and how long they've been setting up this town. But they basically landed. These are the arcs, right? They landed the arc sections to become the town, I guess. By the way, that like I know they don't have a ton of money for CGI, but look at our little tiny people walking around down there.
But it was that was very noticeable to me when they first got to the town. I was like, wow, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, it was not the best. They don't have the biggest budget.
No, they had to make it look Earth-like and
on this. Well, not the part about looking Earth-like. I mean that, but like, they don't have a lot of money for excellent CGI on this, which is fine, right? But they got the fact that they got there and it was too good to be true and it was too perfect, like that was kind of to be expected. That Maddox was sort of behind it was also to be expected. That she had the entire town under mind control because they were basically too much of a pain in the ass for her. They were ungrateful baby, right? Like she's like, oh, I had to like put them under mind control because they kept fighting amongst themselves. I would have uncontrolled them once the town was fine.
Yeah, once I got exactly what I wanted and everybody was listening to me, right?
It was a little.
I mean, that's essentially what she said.
And it hasn't really been that long, right? It's like she got there and was like, oh, these people are a mess. I need to take charge of this. Because I guess other arcs were maybe there first. Like, it's only been this one season, right? Like, Maddox hasn't been there that long. So it was a little surprising to me that she... and that they've chosen now to eliminate her, to kill her off, and she's not... I don't know. I mean, I guess how long could she be the big bad? It was time to get a new... okay, let me stop there and reframe my thoughts. I liked what they did. I kind of liked how they set it up and changed up the show entirely with some of the gang staying and some of the gang going. And we now are going to have a show that happens in 2 locations, right?
Which I kind of like, but at the same time, I thought it was also interesting that they have basically broken up all the couples.
Yeah, I thought that was surprising too. Most of them. For anybody who wants to see it, the interview with the producers is up at scifivision.com because I asked him about that. Dean Devlin had said how like the first 2 seasons were sort of like the pilot in a way because it was setting up where they planned to take it. If it gets renewed, hopefully.
He said that in a couple of interviews that he, that first of all, he wanted this show to be more positive. I don't know if he talked to you about this, but he's talked to some outlets about wanting this to not be
super dark. Yeah.
Well, not be that so much sci-fi is dystopian, and he wanted a happier kind of outlook, a more hopeful outlook on the show. Right. They did break up all these couples. I mean, these 2. So it makes sense. Bryce is a pilot. Like, does he really want to stay on this planet? Whereas, an engineer, Ava as an engineer can really contribute. A pilot, I can see him wanting to go to the sky. And then Garnett basically made what's her name?
Made a job for Alicia.
Alicia,
like a job she couldn't refuse. She gets to be the chief science officer because I guess Trust is going to stay on the ground.
Yeah.
He's going to stay on the ground. He's not in this picture. And Alicia's going to go be the chief science officer, and Angus is going to stay and like
be a botanist.
He was pretty funny. He's like, oh, these people, they planted crops without checking the soil pH. What a rookie mistake. And then
he finds at the end of the episode he finds Noah's tablets.
The Rosetta, yeah. That's funny.
Rosetta Stone.
Rosetta Stone. You thought of Noah's tablets, yeah.
Yeah, some kind of thing. I'm just going to put up Papa Sock's comment that was worried about that maybe that meant it was the end. Yeah, I guess this was the destination where they wanted to move off of, get them all there, and then the show's going to be about rescuing people. I mean, that was kind of, I guess, the point was to get them to this point so they could be a rescue ship and go find different people and bring them to the planet.
But Papa Socks, I see what you're saying. Like, if the network could cancel it now, it's like a natural ending, kind of, right? Like,
it did seem like it could be a series finale or a season finale. I felt like that too. I mean, I hope it comes back, but
no, that's a great point.
Yeah. Papa Socks also says that could Maddox have implants and not be dead? I hadn't even thought about that. That actually could happen.
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't either. And to take it one step further, what if Maddox had herself cloned?
Ooh. Oh, that actually makes sense too.
Yeah, because clones are a thing. Yeah.
So maybe we haven't seen the end of Maddox. I mean, because I don't know if you can come back from a broken neck with implants or not.
No, I wouldn't
but a
think
clone
so.
could work. I don't know. It would depend. I don't know. But that's a good point. She could be coming back. We don't know.
She could be. Because, the one thing about her plan was that all the possessed people, all the mind-controlled people on the planet, it was very, like, you could only be on this planet for 90 seconds, and you could see that everybody was like, we are all so fortunate to be here. We are all so, they were like, at first, I actually thought they were robots. Like, in the beginning, when they go to the town, I was like, oh, it's totally populated by robots. They're not real people. They're robots. And then it turned out that they were just robotic people. But I mean, it was obvious within 2 minutes. She had some crude mind control. I mean, I guess she didn't really care. Like, she basically put them under mind control because they were annoying, right?
Kind of, yeah. She's like, that's why I said she almost was kind of like, once they do what I want and I get what I want, then I'll put them back. Like that would happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a bit of an oversimplification. She felt like their fighting among themselves was jeopardizing getting the colony up and running. And she's like, I was going to release them once the colony was stable.
Yeah, sure you were.
Yeah, sure you were. She's yeah, I mean, she absolutely did it because they weren't doing things the way she wanted to be. Right? It was probably her control freak. Well, I'm getting feedback. Let me warn you. You guys talk.
Okay, I don't know. I thought she got quiet all of a sudden, but
I thought she was echoing because of you.
No,
she is. But now I'm
I don't know. I haven't.
Ever since you changed the device,
I haven't moved since I sat down. If it's too bad, I can move back. My back was hurting. That's why I moved away from the computer. But yeah, I think that's an interesting idea that maybe Maddox could come back. I hadn't even I don't know, that hadn't even occurred to me until they said that. So thank you, Papa Socks. That was a good idea. And AJ with this cloning idea.
I just piggybacked off his idea.
Sorry, what?
I said I just piggybacked off Papa Sock's idea. Maybe turn your volume.
I can try turning. Let me see if I turn mine down, if that helps. If not, I can move back. See if that helps a little bit. I turned it down. Do you not hear the echo now?
I never heard it on you. I only hear it on me and AJ. It's bad. It's bad.
Okay, I can switch back.
Thank you.
Give me a second. I got to log back out.
Is it gone now, AJ? Yeah,
it's gone now.
It's Jamie's iPad.
I knew it was the minute it happened.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's changed since we've been.
Yeah, I like
the adventures of SciFi and their technology.
Yeah. So yeah, I love the cloning idea. I get the fear, but I appreciate the idea of, like, how far can Ava and Bryce go as a couple right now? They're like so happy, so in love. They trust and believe each other. like their relationship is sort of like static from that, which is fine. Like there's something to be said for a happy
no, you're right.
right.
This makes perfect sense. Now it's, can they withstand a long distance relationship?
They can. These two, it's like their first boyfriend and girlfriend ever. It's like your high school boyfriend and you go away to college.
Yeah.
Right? Like both of them are young and inexperienced.
I mean, those two are cute, but I don't think they're practical.
Plus, he's probably going to get eaten by aliens who are like, "What are you doing on our planet?"
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's alien. I thought maybe could it be like humans? So they were in stasis for 100 years. Like, could it be human? I'm not sure this show is going to aliens. Although, if you looked at it, it looked like it was written in almost like cuneiform, right? It was like all little. Yeah. There wasn't a picture of it, but it looked like cuneiform to me almost.
I don't know, some kind of alien language. It's
no. Cuneiform is a human language, right? It looked to me like ancient.
Did it look? It looked human.
Well, it looked like cuneiform, which to me was like an ancient. The Hittites, I think, used it.
It looked like an ancient writing.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look that close at the language. I'd have to see it again.
To me, it looked like old cuneiform tablets that you might see in a museum that were like, a pre. Like the alphabet that
Rosetta Stone. I don't know if the Rosetta Stone's cuneiform or not, but that kind of thing.
Yeah, like the alphabet that we use is not the only alphabet human civilization has ever used, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, I mean, look, I don't read cuneiform. I have no idea, but to me,
why not?
I did take a class once about the ancient world, but to me, I thought, is this show going to introduce aliens, or is this going to be like a type of human civilization that got there before them somehow? And this is like how like on Battlestar Galactica, there were like all these humans, like, there were some ancient civilizations of Earth out there. I don't know. Here's a question. Let's look at this question. Did anybody get the feeling that Garnet and Bryce have some feelings that play in the background every now and then? That is very interesting.
I did, but only when they had that alternate version. I haven't really seen it since then. Or at least I haven't noticed it, I guess. Have you guys?
Because in the alternate, she was in love with him. They were engaged in the alternate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it would make sense because in that alternate that maybe they were playing off it. I just didn't really notice. I haven't really noticed it.
Well, those two are going to be in space, right? Ava's going to be on the ground. And is Ian going up or staying down?
I think Ian is going up, I think.
Yeah, I think Ian.
So it could be a love triangle.
With Ava staying on the ground, Ian's kind of got to go.
Yeah.
We're running out of engineers.
Now, did you guys, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I was just going to say, were you surprised that she named Strickland? I'm looking at that picture. That's why I said it. I thought she was going to name Bryce.
Not at all. I wasn't surprised. He's the perfect choice since his daughter is there.
Yeah, I thought she was going to name Bryce. I mean, once she said it, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But that just wasn't.
Well, it's got to be someone who's staying on the ground to speak for them on the council, right? And so it can't be Kimmy. It's not going to be Sasha because he's not too main of a character. It's not going to be Trust. Like of the it's got to be either Angus or Strickland, and Angus is too young.
Yeah. And
too young.
Nothing. Bryce would be a bad.
I'd say.
Bryce is too hot-headed. And doesn't do well leading.
He hated being the leader. Like 2 weeks ago, he hated being the leader.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. He definitely hated that when he had to do it. So
yeah, I mean that could be interesting. They definitely so Papa Socks feels like every now and then there maybe is a little spark that I can't. I'm so bad at clicking through all these things and finding the comments, but is it just is Papa Sock the only person who sees a spark every now and then, or some leftover feelings? I guess the thing is it's our Garnet who had that experience of falling in love with Ian and has leftover feelings, but it wasn't our Garnet it was our Bryce who was with Alt Garnet, right? Like our Garnet didn't have that experience, but he did. Like, did it put that question in Bryce's head? Like, Garnet,
I don't
never
think
thought
so.
of her that way.
Well, I mean, I definitely could see it making sense if they did, because they could be planning like a sort of triangle. I didn't particularly notice it, but
Jamie and her triangle.
Sorry, what?
TV's all about
Jamie
they don't need a triangle. Okay, what happened?
I mean, people coupling up is natural. People coupling up is natural selection, but the show isn't about couples. You know what I mean? I think Bryce and Garnet are just friends. They're good friends. He's clearly in love with Ava. If they were to go that direction, I think it'd be ridiculous.
He is very in love with Ava.
Yeah, he is in love with Ava now. I don't know. Boba Sox is now saying about Felix. I forgot about that. What was that? His boyfriend in the alternate universe?
Oh yeah, no, he bumps. No,
I can't remember who he bumped into. I'm trying to remember.
Some random person and
random hot guy.
Yeah.
Okay, but that was in the alternate universe. Well, but you know what? If he was in the alternate universe, that doesn't mean that guy doesn't exist in this universe.
He does exist in this universe. We've seen him.
Yeah, we've seen him. I don't think he's in this picture. I don't think he's in this picture. He's not.
Well, then, yeah, I would say that there's a good chance that they're going to go there then.
Yeah, he bumps into him. He was, blah, blah, blah.
In all honesty, I don't remember what he looked like, so I can't.
Oh,
he's remember.
dark. I remember that guy. If I
saw him, I'd probably remember him.
I would like to see that guy. I think it, would be good for Felix's character to have that experience. Like, now he's found his daughter, his husband is dead, and for him to start to try to have a life might be interesting. And that guy could be down there.
Yeah, that could be a good storyline.
And there was 1,200 people down there. So it opens the opportunity for lots of new characters. And plenty of
if it's the last we've seen a Gemini. That's what I'm curious.
Gemini.
Was it called Gemini? Or am I giving it a name that doesn't exist?
Gemini.
Not Gemini. Why am I calling it?
Juno?
Juno. Yeah, Juno. I don't know where I got Gemini from. Sorry, Juno. Project Juno, not Project Gemini.
I don't know if we've seen the last of it because it's a trust thing, and trust is down there, and it might be the last we've seen of it, but it would be unfortunate that they brought it up and never did anything with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Papa Sock's got one more question. He wants to know about Captain Vega. They kind of we didn't see him,
but they showed him standing there at the very end.
Was he standing there? I don't remember seeing him, but they did talk about Eastern Federation and everybody working together. They did talk about it.
I feel like when they talked about it, they showed him standing there at the very end.
I must have missed it if they did.
I don't think he actually introduced him. Like, he didn't talk or anything, but I think she was ready to introduce him or something.
I did not see him, but in answer to the question, it basically happens off screen. Garnet says, we're going to have one representative from my arc, and we're going to have one from the Eastern Federation, and we're going to have one from the colonists. I don't know why
our At any rate, they accepted him, I guess. So.
It's not clear to me. I didn't see him. It's not clear they landed, but Garnet apparently did her job, and apparently the Eastern Federation will be welcome down there. I guess maybe we will probably see some friction next year because you can officially say there are plenty of people that are allegedly welcome in this country or any country, and not all the people agree, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So we'll see where that goes. I don't know. I'm kind of optimistic that we could have some good storylines. I don't know that I love a show that maybe is going to take place on land and on the ship and have split storylines every week, but I don't know. I'm also, I think it's very Garnet to be like, oh, I'm going to go help bring in other ships. I was cloned and raised in a lab to live in space. I'm right. And that they go to what's the place, whatever the new colonies they go to, and they're like, stay away, don't come down here. So of course they're definitely going down there. Right.
Yeah.
That'll be our thing for the next season. I hated this show so much in season 1. Remember how much I hated this show? And I like it now, and I hope it comes back for another season.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, they obviously have the plan, but that kind of depends on SciFi.
Yeah. All right. I think we've wrapped it up. We got
Agatha.
Let's talk about Agatha all along, and then Daryl Dixon will be last.
Okay.
Agatha all along. This episode, I forget what it's called. It's the next verse from the song.
Yeah. I think this shows that they are doing sort of like a theme each episode, I guess you could say, a little bit, which is kind of cool. It's like sort of like WandaVision, but not really, but it's like sort of that kind of thing, I guess.
Well, it's like
not as annoying to me.
I think everybody's, slowly but surely as it goes along, everybody's going to deal with whatever is wrong with them.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. There's going to be a challenge for each witch. Each witch will have a challenge every week. So
right, but I meant like the whole costuming and they change and that it's like a.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what I meant. More like a visual theme, I guess.
Granted, this week it was all about the rock and roll witch and her rock and roll mother witch, right? Rock and roll witch mother. But yeah, they did go all in on the theme this week.
Yeah.
With the costuming and I did really appreciate the way that Agatha couldn't stop looking at herself in the mirror. And didn't want to stop looking at herself in the mirror, right? That was kind of fun. So yeah, I guess they're definitely going all in on all that. I don't love this show. I'm sorry, I had to say it again.
That's okay. You're the only one on the planet, but that's okay.
I know it's very, very popular. This show, right?
It actually set a record for Disney.
Did it really?
It is actually, I don't know if it's any Disney show or I think it's a Disney Marvel show. It is the most consistent of any of the Disney Marvel shows. It has not fluctuated up or down drastically through its first 4 episodes.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
It's pretty even keel.
Even if you like this show, I don't think it's the best of the Marvel shows. I'm
not saying it's the best, but it's definitely entertaining.
But it's doing the best.
It's definitely entertaining. It's a side character, and they're just having fun with it. That's from I didn't I wasn't excited about the show. Maybe that's why I'm enjoying it. I wasn't excited for it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you annoyed by the singing again, Karen?
What?
Last week, I think, or whatever week it was, you didn't like that they had like the music and stuff in it.
Oh, there was more singing
this week because it was more part of the plot this week. Well, it was part of the plot that week.
Is this show a musical and nobody told us?
I don't know the answer to that.
Like, are they going to sing this song every week and not let Patti LuPone? Maybe she'll get a solo finally when it's her. You have Patti LuPone and she doesn't have a solo. It does seem to maybe be a musical, but they only sing the same song every week. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because Artie goes, I don't mind the singing, but could they sing a different song maybe?
Or really, like Patti LuPone is like, look at her way in the back there. Isn't she like a Tony Award winner? I guess I don't know, maybe they're gonna sing it every single week. I don't know.
Well, I think they've only sang something twice now, right? It hasn't been every week.
Yeah, not every week.
By the way, she hasn't won a Tony. I just looked her up. She's won 3 Tonys and 2 Grammys.
Damn. So yeah, you would think we'd see more of her singing then.
Right? Maybe we will.
Maybe they have to pay her too much.
Maybe she's gonna get a she's won so many awards that it's a separate Wikipedia entry. Yeah, she won a Tony for Evita, Gypsy Company. She's won
I knew she won for Evita.
Yeah, she's gonna sing more. But it actually was kind of funny that in this episode, Agatha's like, "We've just sing the song," and everybody's like, "I can't sing, I don't do anything." And they say to Patty,
they all sounded great.
What instrument can you play? And Patty LuPone's like, "I don't play any instrument. I took the zips and the recorder or whatever, right?" Teen's the only one who even says he can play anything at all, a little guitar. So it was kind of funny actually to have like somebody like Patty LuPone, and she says she plays the finger cymbals, but nobody wants to sing, nobody wants to do it. They're all very and they get really into it. Here's another shot of these great costumes, which were pretty incredible on everybody.
Yeah, they were great costumes.
They did a really good job with the costumes, the set, the background, like all of it, right? How'd you guys like the whole? So 2 big things happened this week. One, Rio is back. Thank God. Aubrey Plaza is back. Woohoo!
Well, you knew she was gonna be.
We knew. So
it was pretty obvious because she was the Black Heart that was supposed to be there in the first place.
Yeah. She also is a green witch. Do you know what a green witch is?
A wicked witch from Oz.
I assumed it had to do with growing stuff, but that was just my guess.
So I just looked it up, and we don't think about her. No, only so you Google stuff and it's a waste of your time. The Green Witch is said to be a master of earth magic.
That makes sense.
Which is a very apparently important type of magic to be. You can't go on the road without one of each kind of witch, right?
Yeah.
So so I don't really know, but and having a black heart, I don't know. Anyway, it's great to see her back, but I'm really sorry to see that Mrs. Hart is dead, right? That was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, to see Deborah Jo Rupp exit so early was a little disappointing to me because she really, to me, was a welcome presence on the show, right?
Yeah, I was hoping she'd pop back up.
Yeah, but she seems to not only is she really dead, but she basically turned into some ash and was buried and turned into Rio, right? It's kind of interesting to me that so they do a spell to bring a green witch, and it brings Rio. And Rio's explanation is oh, magic takes the easy way. It just went for the most convenient. Did you buy any of that?
No, not at all.
I think she's been watching the whole time.
Yeah, you think so? I mean, she definitely. So it does seem that she and Agatha have a past together, right?
Yeah. Well, that story she tells, pretty obvious. She's talking about Agatha.
Yeah, and then they almost kiss, and she tells Agatha no. There's a revenge plot.
She didn't tell Agatha no. She told Agatha, the teen is not your son.
She tells her that later, right? Or
that was all during the same
she tells her that when they were going to kiss. I think.
Yeah.
So we've already speculated that the teen is not her son, right? How did we go from what's going on in the chat? That somebody following the comments?
My comments aren't doing anything.
Yeah, no, I was responding to something they said.
She says he's not yours. she could be lying, although we have had some speculation about who he might really be, right?
Did we? Maybe I just didn't understand what you guys were talking about because I haven't seen
like AJ thinks he might be Mephisto, right?
Oh, that's right. We did say that. I don't know who that is.
He could be. You know, I mean, there's lots of theories. He could be Mephisto. He could be one of Wanda's kids. Could be Billy.
Oh yeah, that could be one of Wanda's kids. Yeah. Yeah. But he's like he could be Agatha's son.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he could still be Agatha's son, and Rio doesn't know it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Rio could be lying, or Rio could not even know it.
There's that too.
Either way, because the comics are not definitive on this, right? This is not. We're like out of comic territory here. So, how'd you guys like the sort of main thing with the curse, right? Like, there's a curse on. Is her first name Alice, right? There's a curse on Alice's family. It's basically like a generational curse, it's described as. And her mother, I mean, I don't know. How'd you guys like that? I kind of like that idea of the curse, and that everyone sort of suffered from the curse. They all got scratched, and it.
Well, yeah, everybody's kind of suffering from each other each week from
their different trials.
I don't know how I don't know if I really loved when Alice was like, "Oh, I can see the curse," and then it looks like a weird starving Batman demon that literally jumps on her back. But I appreciate having to give us a visual for that, right? Like, I appreciate they tried to give us an interesting visual. For that. I don't know. There's not a ton to talk about here because almost the entire show was really about the performance of right? It was mostly about we have to sing the song. Almost all the shots that they gave us are pictures of everybody performing. It was really they did spend a lot of money on fire. I don't know if it's a lot of money, but like a lot of fire was shooting around everywhere, which was kind of cool. But there wasn't a whole lot of. There's not a ton of story.
No.
And you know what? Here's one thing why I might not like this show so much. Disney, man. So if you are watching the free Disney, I understand that if it's maybe not free, but if you're watching the lower ad-supported tier, I understand they have to put ads in, but Disney is really doing
awful.
A terrible job with so many ads.
Honestly,
it ruins the show.
I think it's an algorithm because they're never the same. If you were to look, pull up one week and then pull up the following week, that where the ads are is never the same, and there's never as many. Some weeks it's 5, some weeks it's 4.
There were a lot this week, but they're always at a bad time. Like, they can happen in the middle of the scene. They can just interrupt like dramatic tension, right? I get it. If you don't like it, you could pay more. But I feel like, is Disney purposely trying to be as annoying as possible to encourage you to pay?
No, I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I think they're being cheap.
You think a computer's doing it?
Yeah, I absolutely think a computer's doing it. They're being cheap.
I wonder if you watch it when it first comes out, though, if they're placed on purpose. I just asked that because I vaguely remember thinking that some of the Doctor Who ads seem to be like in a certain spot, but it does seem more random. But
no, the Doctor Who was bad too.
Was it
Doctor Who? When
we watched it when it first came, I just wondered if maybe it had to do with when you watched it, though, too.
Like, no, it has nothing to do with when you watched it.
So
no. I mean, a show that is made, whatever. We can do a whole podcast on like insertion of ads into this stuff. But it really, it might be a reason why I struggle with the show is that I'm so often taken out of the, I mean, I don't want to say there's intense drama in this show, but I'm taken out of the scene so often by like, are you kidding me? There's an ad right now for
No, I felt that way a couple times.
Yeah. It's a struggle. It really diminishes my experience.
So,
and I don't know how long this episode was, but I thought it was kind of short also.
So. I mean, you know what? Honestly, I haven't even been looking at the run times. I do know the first episode was almost an hour. Since they've been roughly between 40-45 minutes each episode.
Huh.
Which kind of surprised me. I didn't expect them to be that long. Actually, there was one episode that was like 35 minutes that was a little shorter.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, I guess we probably wrap this up. We got one more show.
Yeah. You guys can. I'm not going anywhere, but you guys go talk about your Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. This show, I was a little frustrated this week. It was a really long episode. Speaking of runtimes, this was well over an hour. I missed it when it ran at 9, and I turned on my TV at like 1 minute to 10, and it said the episode wasn't starting until 10:28. This was like an hour and 28-minute episode. I mean, with commercials or whatever. It was really long. Jamie, I'm starting to agree with people who say the Daryl storyline is working, the Carol storyline is maybe not working as well. I think the problem is that this is rushed. It's only 6 episodes, and I think it's being rushed. A lot of stuff that happened tonight, I feel like if we had one more episode, like the Laurent stuff, and the Losang stuff, I feel like was rushed. I could have used another episode to really buy what was going on there. And everything with Carol and Ash, like I maybe could have used another episode to really buy what's going on there also.
That's fair. It is pretty short. I mean, again, and I say this a lot, and I know you say different, but I mean, it is different when you watch it all in one piece. Like I've seen it all in one stretch, but yeah, I think that maybe a little bit more would have helped.
6 episodes is super short, right? And so for example, this idea that Losang is, he's frustrated with Daryl's influence on Laurent, which I love this shot from the show where he like literally has a halo around his head, right? Because he's second coming.
Yeah, you're right.
I think the way that these people worship him, so I'm not bought into this whole storyline, and I find it hard to believe that people who have now survived, like, is it 15?
They believe that,
is it 20 years now since the zombie apocalypse, that they believe that he's like their savior. But the idea that Losang is very frustrated, and that woman who's his right hand is so frustrated that she engineers a plot to kill Daryl.
Yeah, like that was not going to work. And it was kind of a dumb plan.
To me, that was not believable because it was too rushed. Like I had not really seen, we might have seen a little bit of this. That woman, have we ever even seen her before? Like the woman who's like, oh, I took care of it. They're going to kill Daryl. And
I don't think till this season, at least I don't remember her from last season.
And by the way, I convinced Emil to kill. Like what? Like I know Emil was traumatized from being kidnapped, but then all of a sudden he's going to kill. Like
I didn't like that.
It all happens off screen. That like 1 minute he's traumatized, and the next
minute
came
to save him too. Like he went to save him when nobody else wanted to, and now you're gonna like.
Yeah, but the next minute, all his hair is cut off, and he's trying to kill Daryl. Like what? Like that? Like that? I get that they wanted it to be a surprise, and they're not going to show the conversation, but that was unearned. Like Emil turning on Daryl was unearned, right? That happened too fast. I appreciated, the whole, like the way the way she discovers it. I forget this woman's name. But it just developed so quickly. That to me, there were some, so we don't have a ton of great photos of it. There was great fight scene, like the whole fight in this deserted place. And the idea that, Isabel and Falou come along at the last minute, is critical to Daryl's survival here. And I thought the shooting and the stabbing and everything was pretty good, right? Did you like?
Yeah, the choreography is always good, but
yeah,
it didn't necessarily make tons of sense.
It's funny because I feel like if you watch it straight through, you might feel it was even more rushed. I'm surprised that you don't feel that way because
I remember thinking that I didn't understand that they changed their allegiance. Well, they didn't exactly change their allegiance. He sort of brainwashed them, but still, I do feel like I was kind of like, why are they all of a sudden going against Daryl? That part to me did not make tons of sense.
And even Losang, am I saying it right? After his henchwoman was like, "Oh, I took care of it. I told them to kill Daryl." He says something like, "Is this who we are? Is this who we want to be?" I did kind of like that. I kind of liked that he's like, "Oh, wait, like I'm supposed to be all about the savior and like changing the world. And like, are we people now that just kill anyone who's like, are they different from Janae? Like, are they any different from Janae? Really?"
I don't know, but I don't know why they would believe that he would be able to survive a bite. Like, there's nothing, in my opinion, that should give them that. I mean, I get it's like the religion and they have faith, but like, unless I'm forgetting, like, what was it that made them think that he was immune? Was there a reason? I can't remember.
Isabel's sister was pregnant with him and she was bitten, right? And Isabel.
And they watched The Last of Us, so they assumed he was immune, right?
Yes, right? Yeah. Yeah. Isabel brought her to the convent. They deliver the baby and she dies. And I think that's why they think he's immune, but they don't have any reason. And at least in The Last of Us, Ellie
got bit.
She got bit and lived, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like they played The Last of Us before they walk. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jamie.
Maybe if he was like that guy that got bit by a human and pretended it was a walker or something, then I could maybe buy it a little more. But I think that was why, but I had forgotten about that because they never really, I don't know, they never really went much into it, which I feel like if it's such an important thing that there's like a whole group of these religious people that believe this, they should be doing a better job of, I mean, as the audience, we're not necessarily supposed to believe it, but they didn't do anything to convince us that it even makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
and that this huge crowd of people would go along with it, right? Because you're right. There's no reason they should believe this at all. And I mean, I guess that's why they call it faith and not, right? Like they have faith, but they don't show him preaching. They don't show religious fervor, and they don't show.
I guess my point is like, I get faith, but he's not a religious figure. Like he's just a kid. I don't know.
Yeah. And so they're living in, like behind Laurent here, you see where they live in Mont Saint Michel in this like very secure kind of fortressy kind of place, right?
Yeah.
But you don't see him like we don't have a good picture of Janae, but Janae running Paris, she has people who like she provides food, she provides safety, she provides wine, and people like go along with her. And I guess are these guys really any different? I mean, they are different because they're far less murderous and they're not experimenting on people and torturing people.
Right.
But I agree with you. There's no reason for them to believe any of it's just not demonstrate to me. It hasn't been, and maybe it's having 6 episodes and not.
And it might be because it's short. The only other thing I can think is that maybe they want you to not sympathize with these people at all, or empathize, I guess would be a better word, with these people at all, and don't understand it. Because I just feel like they should have like, yes, it is faith, but they have no other than she was bit, like that didn't really prove anything or necessarily mean anything, and they never really went into it, and that's kind of a problem. But that's something that should have been done last year. I feel like not now. It's kind of like past that anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And you're right. We're supposed to, like, Daryl doesn't believe it, and we're supposed to sympathize with Daryl's our entry of the story, right?
Yeah, and that's why I said you cannot agree with them, but like you should at least understand why they feel the way they do. You know.
Well, and for Losang and his people to not trust Daryl.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Well, we never see Daryl really undermining them. Like, Daryl spends time with the kid. Daryl,
yeah, he's done everything they've asked. Other than he went to save that guy when they said not to. That's the only thing he did really against them.
There's a scene where Daryl is talking to Isabel, and he says, like, the kid has doubt. Like, everything they're teaching him, the kid has doubts. Like, that's all he says. Like, we never see Daryl say, "What are you, crazy? He's not the savior. What are you, crazy, Laurent? You gotta," like, he would like to leave and for them to come with him, but I on the screen, I don't see Daryl undermining their faith. And so
I wonder if it's more that he's worried that he'll change Laurent's mind because Laurent like looks up to him so much.
Yes.
I mean, that's more the way I'm looking at it.
I mean, Daryl's clearly his father figure, and I think you're right, but it felt a little bit not earned to me, and like, so
you're right.
So if you look back on, so it's 6 episodes, and it is what it is, and that's all it can be. But like, if you look back on The Walking Dead, like, which ran many seasons, and like, this could have been an entire season-long story arc of the growing, like, rift between, of Laurent's allegiance changing and Daryl's influence, and the political whole thing could have been like half a season story arc, right? But we only have 6 episodes, so it has to happen in like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of a shame that these spin-offs they're making so short. And I mean, in a way, I get it. Like, we don't need, 22 episodes and another full regular Walking Dead. I mean, they are a spin-off, but they're putting too much into it. They could have either added more episodes or taken out some of the content.
Yeah, and to be fair, on like Fear the Walking Dead, pacing was a huge problem. It went on and on and on, and nothing ever happened.
Yeah, their pacing was too slow. Yeah. I think this was just a little too fast. Like, maybe like 8 episodes would have been a little better, I think.
Yeah, 8 would have been better. So the second storyline is Carol, and so the press dump had no pictures of Greenland whatsoever. I don't know where they shot that, if they shot that also in France. I doubt they really went to Greenland to shoot that. How did you like the whole Greenland storyline with Carol and Ash?
With those 2 people they meet, you mean?
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I mean, I don't know. Hey, look, we're talking about that they didn't have enough time. As much as I love Carol and I want to see her side of it because I want to see more of Melissa McBride in it, they probably could have taken out that whole storyline and made more room to make the Daryl storyline better. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with you.
I mean, I didn't mind those 2 people, and I think it was an interesting part of their journey, but it was definitely not necessary, I don't think.
Yeah. So I thought, I think you're right. That whole storyline could never have happened. So I think I'm glad they showed that you can't just fly from Maine to France in that little tiny plane, and they had to make some stops. I felt like, they didn't really write the Greenland. I actually, after I watched this, like, I knew that Greenland is enormous and like nobody lives there, right? So I Googled it, and there's like 55,000 people live in all of Greenland, right? Like, like, it's smaller than Penn State, right? It's smaller than, like, there are like universities that are like almost nobody lives there. And it actually said like they increased their population by 90 people since last year. It's very sparsely populated. And so the idea that they could just land and randomly run into 2 people, like, could they have done that a little better? And then
they always randomly run into certain people in this show. I've given up trying to follow that logic.
I did like those walkers that were like all covered in moss laying under the grass. And then it was almost like military guys popping up and grabbing at Carol and stuff. I did like that.
Yeah, they usually do good with putting in new kinds of interesting walkers, but I think that they need to work more on the script and less on the visuals sometimes.
So I thought when they met those two women, I thought, oh, here's two new characters and I come with them to France. Like, I thought, obviously, these two women are going to be like, oh my God, we've been alone in Greenland for 20 years. Can we please go to France with you?
Can we come with you? Or at least tried at the beginning to come with them.
You know how in the beginning of the Negan spinoff, they introduced all these new characters that were sort of like along for the ride for a couple episodes? I was sure that's who these women were. But no, it's The Walking Dead, so they're psycho.
Yeah, of course.
And they want to repopulate the earth with one man and two women. And, you know, I read Eric Kane in Forbes, in his Forbes review. Eric Kane was like, so their plan basically is incest, right? Like, he's going to impregnate each of those women, but then their children, I hope it's a boy and a girl, because they have to procreate, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, if they're trying to reproduce, you would think that having another woman would not necessarily be a bad thing either. Like, I know they have to have the man, but they could have. Well, Carol, you know what though? Carol's probably too old.
Carol's too old to have a baby. But if you want to repopulate the earth, why don't you leave Greenland and go to France, where there's presumably a lot more people, right?
Well, to be fair, if you're stranded in Greenland during a zombie apocalypse, you don't really think you have a chance to go to France. But yes, I agree. As soon as they, found the plane, you would think they'd be trying to go with them at least.
No, and they're like, I also really. The scene where Carol is in the cabin with like the redheaded woman and they drink a shot and they're talking and
she totally saw it coming from a mile away.
So on the one hand, I thought there was some tension. On the other hand, I was like, really? Carol lets the woman handle her weapon. She lets her have the arrows. She watches her like, why did Carol Carol could have killed that,
taken her out at the beginning. I know.
Right?
I don't know. I don't know if she was biding her time to make sure she struck at the right time, or if she wanted to see what she would do.
Carol allowed that woman to take her weapon, load it with ammunition, point it at her. Like, this is like, what? Like, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure why she did.
The woman did it very, very slowly. It's not like she grabbed Carol's weapon, had it on her in 2 seconds, right? Like, I thought that was very un-Carol. Like, bothered me because it was un-Carol-like, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. It was. I mean, if there was something she needed, like if there was information she needed to get out of her, maybe it would have made more sense. Like she needed to know what she was going to do, but she really didn't. She could have just killed her straight off. And I mean, she ended up, that's the one she didn't kill though, right? So I guess.
In the end, that woman turns she doesn't want to kill. She's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to
maybe
do it.
She realized she didn't. Maybe I don't know. Maybe as like a battered woman, maybe she could tell that she was being forced and maybe she thought she could save her. I don't know. It wasn't fleshed out well enough to know.
And then in the end, that woman, she turns the weapon on the really psycho one, right? And then, then I felt kind of bad when Ash ends up killing her, but he had no choice, right?
Yeah, and then she doesn't even tell him, right? I can't remember, but I don't think she tells him.
No, he says, I had to kill her, and Carol says, yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. At least she didn't. I appreciate that. Carol knows that, that would be mean.
I mean, of course, it's typical, like this. I actually found it a little hard to believe that he's never killed anyone. It's been like 20 years.
We've had this discussion. It never makes sense these people survive when they haven't killed walkers
anyone.
Or people.
He lives in this beautifully.
Well, wait, did he say he's killed walkers though, right?
Yes, just not never killed a person.
I think you could maybe go through without killing a person. I think it would depend on the circumstances, but it seems less likely as time goes on. I agree.
I find it hard to believe that you have a plane and no one tries to take it from you.
Yeah, because he has the plane, it makes it hard to believe. But not everybody in the group killed humans.
And he's got a greenhouse and a secure location, and it surprised me a little bit. it actually made me think of, do you remember in The Walking Dead at one point, maybe in like season 5 or whatever, Rick has 3 questions that he asks everyone he meets.
Yeah.
How many
walkers, how many humans, and I forget what the third question
and why.
was.
How many people he killed and why, right? And I mean, I guess it's just a typical situation where Ash he got through it all pretty well till he meets Carol. And within like 48 hours, like his place is destroyed, he has to flee, and now he's killed a person.
Everybody around Carol. They don't do so well when she meets people, you know.
The poor guy, yeah. So but I agree with you that it could, like, they didn't need that story. I appreciate them having to stop off somewhere. I like them showing us that you don't just fly across the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, and it wasn't a bad story. It just was unnecessary.
Yeah.
But maybe they were also trying to stretch out before they got there, though. And to be fair, if they just had an episode and didn't put Carol in at all, they would have had people complain. So,
well,
I kind of get it. I don't think it was necessary, but I kind of get it.
But so all of that happens, and then they happen to land like right next door. Carol walks to Paris, wherever they landed. She walks right into Paris, and she like
just happens to be in the right place.
Yeah, she walks right into this right place at the right time, where she comes to Janae's like recruiting party, where she's like, here's some bread, here's some wine, I need 20 volunteers who she's going to experiment. Like, she's experimenting her zombie virus on them, right?
Some of them, yeah. I think it depended what job or whatever. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while.
I don't think we saw any of it yet, but you know, she gets it. She's creeping around, and then she gets caught.
I got the idea. Some of them she wanted for soldiers, I guess is what I'm saying. But yeah, she might be.
Not all of them. She takes these 20 volunteers. Carol gets so lucky that she's seated next to an American guy who speaks English and French, right? And he's like, oh, they separated me from my husband. I don't know why. He needs a doctor. Well, that guy's obviously getting experimented as a zombie if he's sick. I don't know that. I mean, she said she liked Carol because she had spirit. I think they're all for experimentation, but whatever. Carol just gets lucky, and she gets taken into Janae's world. And, of course, the ad for next week spoils it. You know, she lives. It's Carol. She lives, right?
We know Carol lives. They're not going to kill Carol or Daryl. Yeah. We know that.
So she's in the right place. She's been taken prisoner by the exactly right person in the exactly right place to learn everything. And like, look who's being tortured, right? Like, she's torturing at trying to find like information on our heroes.
Yeah, I was going to say, how far does this episode go? I don't want to say anything that I'm not supposed to.
Well, at the end, this guy's being tortured, and she's trying to find out, I think, where Laurent is. Is that what they're asking him? Which, how hard is it to figure out that they're living at Mont Saint Michel, right?
No, I think, you mean Janae? I think she's trying to find out where Daryl is.
Where Daryl is, yeah. Yeah, trying to find, that's the guy, that he doesn't even look like him because of all the makeup, but that's the guy that was pursuing Daryl last year, right?
Yeah, that's the one that was going after him and Laurent and then let them go.
Yeah.
The one with the tattoo.
Yeah. So she's torturing him to find out where they are.
Well, I guess she's trying to. I'm looking at this recap. She's trying to find all of them, I guess. But
okay.
I thought she was more after Daryl.
So where it ends is with this guy is right here. I assume that Carol will, by a stroke of luck, be in the cell next to him next week or something, right? And then the other thing that happens that we're leading up to is the kiss.
Oh, I was annoyed. Look, I know not everybody wants Carol and Daryl together, and that's fine, but I don't know. I just don't really think that they go together good. I mean, she was a nun to begin with, supposed to be. I just never really, I don't know. Maybe it is because I like Carol and Daryl, and I do it without meaning to. I don't know. I just never really saw it.
Jamie, I think this is the one thing on the show. Like, I talk about this being rushed. This has been a very slow development of their relationship, and I really buy it. I buy it a lot more. Remember that crazy woman that Daryl shacked up with?
Yeah, I buy it way more than that.
Yeah. I mean, I buy these two in a way that partly that's because Daryl took up with that woman mostly off screen and in flashback. I forget her name. It turned out to be bad. bad.
I guess I'm just kind of like, what was the point of her being a nun? I don't know. Like, I guess that's why, like, I really thought they wouldn't because she was supposed to be a nun, but I guess that doesn't mean she doesn't.
Oh, well, because she became a nun as a reaction to her.
That's true. I mean, she wasn't a nun before that, but she seemed to like believe in what the church, at least before, maybe not now. Like that she really took it seriously, or at least I thought she did, but.
Well, I mean,
they want tension.
She had before the apocalypse, she was sort of like a con woman and a thief and a girl kind of person. And it was only when her sister died and she found security in the convent that she became a nun. I don't know that so I went to Catholic school and they talk about the calling, and I don't think like she had the calling. I guess
it's true. And like I said, even if she did, and number one, it'd be hard to be a nun in the apocalypse and keep the faith. And number two, even if she was a nun, it doesn't mean she don't like Daryl. I mean, that doesn't necessarily make that go away. So
yeah, I think she believed in Laurent, and like that was a part of her faith. But like, I don't think she had like a calling to follow the Lord, or like the way nuns do, and like the way Catholic nuns do.
It's probably just because I hold out hope for Carol. That's why I said I probably, without even meaning to, am influenced by that.
And I guess Daryl is like an irresistible alpha male. I think that Isabella is maybe also attracted to the way he is with Laurent.
Yeah,
right? Like there's a side to Daryl. Daryl has always been good with children across all the shows he's been on, right?
Yeah.
He's very good with children.
He's also taking care of her, though, too. I mean, he's taking care of both of them.
I think this kiss was earned. And I kind of liked that it wasn't like they kissed and then they went back. Like, this was not... I saw an interview with the writer of this episode. I read an interview with the writer. I wish I could see where it was. The writer was interviewed and said, this wasn't like a hop into bed kind of a kiss. This was like they kiss and then they sort of like it was sort of a hesitant kind of a kiss, and like I think in the interview he calls it exploratory. Like they're not like, wasn't like on a soap opera where you kiss and then you make out for the next 5 minutes with music, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like will it go somewhere? Will it not go somewhere? Will Carol's appearance change things? Of course not, because I mean, I don't ship Carol and Daryl because I see them as really like a BFF kind of a couple. Like they're best friends. And I think if you look back to like season 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead, when Daryl was so young, that like they just haven't been in. I don't ship them, but I know you do and other people do, and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
I don't know but just because
I don't know they're ever going to get them together. I don't think it really necessarily matters whether I ship them or not, but I don't know. I think that, like I said, I think whether I intend it or not, I'm still probably influenced by that.
Yeah. But I don't know if I don't know if the show would ever really put Daryl and Isabel together as could they make it as a couple? In the end,
put him with that, like you said, that woman that it never made sense. The one he slept with, that he was with for like a couple seconds and then killed her.
No, the best thing about her was that's where he got Dog, right?
Yeah, you're right. But now Dog's up there. So.
I mean, an end game would be for Laurent and Isabel to go to France, to go to America. That plane cannot fit 5 people. There's no way that plane fits 5 people, right? Can that plane fit all 5 of them? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little plane.
But anyway, so I get it. I can see why, especially if you ship Daryl and Carol, or if you just didn't see it. But I feel like this is the one thing that I'm glad, if it was going here, I'm glad they let it go this long and they let it be sort of earned a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, it took a while, so it wasn't like it was just brought on all of a sudden.
Yeah. do you hate them together, or you just
No, I don't hate them. Like I said, I think I don't like them because I want him to be with Carol, not because I dislike her or anything.
Yeah.
Like I kind of see it. I just kind of feel like she's like a stand-in because he thinks he'll never see her again. That's how I see it. Like I don't think that his feelings for her are real. I think he likes her and I think she likes him, but I don't know.
Because for all he knows, Carol might be dead.
Yeah, he has no, in his mind, he probably has no hope he'll ever see her again. So he's trying to move on. And like, I don't see a problem with him trying to move on. And like, I get it. I just would prefer.
He has said things on the show. He actually says there's a voiceover over the trailer. And he says, like, I think about people at home and I wonder if they think about me. Right. I think about the people I left behind and I wonder if they think about me. Like,
so maybe he thinks she moved on, I guess.
Also, why would he think he could ever go back? Like,
that's a good point.
How are you going to get across the ocean?
He even got here. And also, to be fair, Carol was married too. So,
yes. Although apparently transatlantic travel is very easy now in the late days of the apocalypse. And you can just like take planes and boats and whatever. And there's unlimited fuel and whatever.
Yeah.
So, all right. So there's only 3 episodes left now, right? This was episode 3. That leaves 3.
Was this 2 or 3?
Was this 2?
I thought it was 2, but I could be wrong. Yeah,
it might have been 2. It was 2. So there's only 4 episodes left, which is crazy to think. Like,
yeah.
On the regular Walking Dead, when it had 13 episodes, 4 left. Like, that could be an entire new story arc. On this, like, I think I think where we're going is this Janae thing, right? I mean, that's the and I think Daryl and Carol will have to meet soon. Like, how long can this go on with them not being reunited, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anybody expects them, at least I would hope not, to go to the end of the season and never. I mean, that would suck.
And the wild card is, so this is a spoiler, kind of, but not really a spoiler. Anybody who doesn't want to hear a spoiler, go on mute now for the next 22 seconds, okay? Starting right now. They've announced that the next season is already shooting in Spain. So what does that mean? Are the characters moving to Spain, or are they going to use Spain as a stand-in for France? Okay, you can come back now.
Yeah, we know that they always announce things ahead with this show. It's kind of like, you know, you're going to find out things. So don't read press releases if you don't want to know anything, right?
So anyway. All right. So I guess, have you anything else happened that you want to cover before we wrap this up?
About this show? No, I think we got everything. Do you like Ash a little better? Because you seemed like you didn't like Ash last week, from what I remember.
I like him a little better. I complained a lot about his story. I mean, I like the actor. I like the character. I like that Carol ran into a genuinely nice guy who's probably going to die by the end of this because, you know, nice people when they run into the Grimes gang, they die.
That's why I said Carol screws everything up, you know?
Yeah. He'll probably.
I don't know that you should be coming near another kid, you know, or trying to come near another kid.
He'll probably live because he's the only person who knows how to fly the plane. So he probably will live.
No, I meant Laurent. I meant like if she meets up with Daryl. I think Daryl should keep her away from Laurent, don't you?
Oh yeah. When Carol's around kids, they don't fare well.
It doesn't end so well, right?
Look at the flowers, Laurent.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap that up. I guess we're finished here. Let me H is still around.
I'm here.
Hello. The only other thing I was going to say, like I had been telling you guys for that show that also I don't understand why they named it that before. They need to quit naming them prepositions. I'm going to be talking to Billy Crystal for that, which is pretty cool. And that's coming up soon. But then the next closest thing is, like I said before, was Teacup, which is on the 10th. Is the next, at least the next thing that we might cover here or whatever. The new Citadel comes out on 10th too, because I had covered Citadel Diana, which I actually enjoyed. I don't know, it's like more futuristic. I liked it. I didn't think I would, but I did.
Well, you can cover that on the website, but we will not cover that on this show.
No, I know. I'm just telling you.
Aaron,
it's
fun.
been dubbed over. I didn't think I would like it because it's dubbed, but I actually liked it better than the original. I don't know. I like the storyline better. Like, I feel like, not that this one doesn't have really great, choreography and effects. I'm not saying it don't, but I feel like the other one, it was all just that. Like, there was no substance to the other one. I don't know. This one I just felt had a better story. Like, I enjoyed the story.
Did it feel like $300 million TV show?
No. I mean, I don't know if anything would feel like a $300 million TV show. What's the other expensive one? Last of Us? I guess that one looks expensive. I mean, this one did not look expensive, but I hadn't really thought about it. But it's interesting. I liked it. I don't know.
So,
But I don't expect us to cover it on here. I was just saying it is coming out.
No, but so as far as Teacup goes, I think we'll not. So it comes out on Peacock tomorrow. The
10th. Well, now technically it's tomorrow, but
Thursday the 10th.
Thursday.
But it will not premiere on SciFi until the 17th. So I think that we shouldn't talk about it until it airs on television, so people who aren't paying for streamers can watch it.
I didn't realize it was coming to Sci-Fi Vision. You know more, or to Sci-Fi Vision, to Sci-Fi Channel. You know more than I do. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. According to the internets, it's going to be on Sci-Fi on October 17th. So it looks like it's going to come out on Peacock first, and then
so it's just a week later. Yeah,
it has a great cast. So all right, we'll talk about it.
Either that, or maybe we'll sort of go over what you think without spoiling it. Maybe next week, but we'll see. We still have we're gonna have for people who come next week, we're gonna have our guest at the beginning of the hour. That'll probably be till midway through, and then we'll probably finish out the hour and maybe a little beyond that with From, and then we'll go into everything else. But we won't have ARC next week either, so we'll have less, so we can kind of decide, I guess.
Okay, we usually
these are conversations for off the air.
Yeah.
No, I'm just telling people so they know if they come that the first hour is going to be From again.
Or if they come, they can be surprised.
Probably a little bit more than that.
Well, they can be surprised, yeah. So, all right,
guys. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I already mentioned. I was going to say that movie, but I already mentioned Caddy Lake at the beginning. So,
yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate it. Come back next week, and tell us what you think.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Talk to y'all next week. Good night.
Good night.